Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Happy Wednesday.
Say hello to our
Hello.
awesome friend from Iowa.
How's it going? How's it
Good
going?
man.
Good,
Good
good.
man. Good. Can you get closer to your mic?
Let me see if I can give it some
Oh, there we go. Lee, that sounds
um,
awesome now.
lush.
Lush, deep, the deep, dulcet tones of
Kevin
Kevin.
Hall.
Kevin Mall. What up, fake kilogram? This guy is my doppelganger. I'm gonna be in Tampa, by the way. So he looks like my twin, except better looking and skinnier. There you go. Sunday quiet storm. What's up, Nick Pantazzi? I'm only going to be there on Thursday and Friday during the day. I think I'm giving some talk on Friday, and then but I have to fly out Friday night because my daughter's birthday is Saturday. Yeah. We got Olympia, Washington in the house. Boston in the house. We got Cav Gold in the house. You know Cav Gold?
Not familiar.
I'm not either. If anybody, sorry, if anybody's not subscribed to Skylabs Audio, you're insane. But I will link it in the description here.
Yeah, do me a solid because I mean we are right on the cusp of that
You're gonna
goal.
hit 100K.
Yeah, here soon. I think it's 98 right now.
98. Well, we got to get you over so you can get
That would be awesome.
your little thingy, your little plaque.
How long does that take to get once you hit it?
I don't think it took too long for me. You got to go in and like fill out the deal, and then I think I don't know, check out your channel or something. It didn't take very long, but it was a really cool thing, man. You get it in a nice box. It comes out. It was a really big deal for me.
You get
Still
white
is. No white gloves. I don't think. I don't think so.
fail.
We got Illinois in the house. Detroit, Saskatchewan, Nashville. Another Nashville. Pennsylvania. Guatemala. What? Hola, my friend. Arkansas. Very nice. Hey, from Chicago. Looking forward to Axpona. I am too. I have to do my travel stuff. I booked my flight yesterday to Florida, but I haven't booked my flight to Chicago. Memphis, Tennessee. Are you flying or driving?
I'm driving. Yeah.
How long does it take for you?
I think it was 5 hours, maybe 5.5.
That's not terrible. Anything less than 6, I usually drive, depending
Yeah.
upon what my schedule looks like. How long have you been a hi-fi retailer?
New product or vintage or
New
both?
product. New product.
New product. Well, we always sold a little bit, but I think we really U-Turn we picked up probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago in Audio-Technica, just a handful of turntables, but I think maybe 2 years ago.
What's your experience been like?
Well, before, we had any kind of success in YouTube, it was really difficult, actually. I'd have to buy any new product through, you know, really vinyl distributors, and they would have a couple Audio-Technica turntables and Edifier speakers, that kind of thing. But, you know, the manufacturers really didn't want anything to do with us.
Really?
Yeah, well, especially with being in Des Moines, it's pretty difficult. It's a pretty small market. I think it's a small market everywhere almost, brick and mortar hi-fi shop. But
But you sell online, right? I mean, some
we
places.
do we do
Yeah.
some things. Yeah, and we're starting to ramp that up, and a lot of that has to do with, again, kind of the success of the YouTube channel because, without that reach, it'd be really tough. It's so competitive out there. Trying to get eyeballs to your website as opposed to a big company with, all the support and the easy returns and all that, a small hi-fi shop can't compete with Crutchfield and Amazon, and so,
Who's your favorite company to work with?
our rep at Cambridge, I mean, all of our reps are good, but Rob at Cambridge he's just a super cool guy. He really is. They came to the shop, they did that, British invasion,
Yeah,
and I don't know. You could tell they're really wanting to support, the small independent shops,
yeah.
and, not that others aren't, but there are a lot that want nothing to do with it. So, but
It's funny because I was hoping you'd say that because I know you carried Cambridge, but and I just got back from there.
yeah, I
But
saw that. Jealous.
it was awesome.
They didn't invite me.
Well, I was already over there, so it wasn't like this was their brainchild. We had talked about it in the past when I was at shows and stuff. I said, it'd be really cool if I could come out and kind of tell the story about what you guys are all about. And I got to go to Ireland for Sennheiser, and so I was like, I'm already going to be over there, so I popped an email over to the folks at Cambridge. Like, listen, I'm going to be there. This Ireland thing's only going to last 2 days. Why don't I pop over there for a couple of days? We shoot a video. And they're like, yeah, sounds cool. So that's what we did. But
I watched it. It was,
did you like it?
oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's kind of, isn't it the dream, working in a place like that? And I
Right.
get it.
Yeah.
Everybody puts on a smile in front of the camera, including me. When we're shooting in the shop, I think a lot of people, they get that vibe like that's the greatest job in the world. It's a bunch of dudes and like-minded people hanging out, listening to music all the time.
Right.
You know, I really think there is there is a lot of that in there. There's a lot of that in our shop, So seeing a little bit of behind the scenes and the employees and their interactions and I saw some genuine smiles that you can't,
Right.
you
Oh,
know,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't think, I don't know, but I don't think anybody really gets into this hobby profession unless that passion's there, because there's a lot easier ways to make money. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it, but the owner of Cambridge is like he's got one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard. And it's very similar to all the stories you hear of like pretty successful people, about being super passionate and almost a borderline obsessive about something, and trying to go kind of the traditional route in school and then maybe dropping out. Anyway, it's a really incredible story. But it's funny you mentioned Cambridge, and I was just over there because that's kind of the crux of this live stream is I want to kind of talk about the differences, at least in my limited experience, doing this for the last, I don't know, four years plus of, interacting with companies that are independent. And when I say independent, I mean maybe solely owned by one individual or one organization versus something like a corporate hi-fi, like a Sound United or like the previous Vox group that had Klipsch, Onkyo, Pioneer, and a bunch of other brands. Because in my experience, at least the interactions I've had, it's like there's a clear vision with the independents where it's kind of like it's almost like a revolving door in some respects with personnel of trying to deal with them. But also, I don't feel like they have as clear of a vision, if that makes sense. What do you
No,
think?
I think there's kind of a sweet spot in there where, they're, I don't know. I think all the passions in the startups, the smaller businesses, and then that middle ground, if they can balance that with, you know, dollars and cents and still keeping those good employees that are passionate about it. And then the next step where it's just a bunch of upper management, like the old companies that you can just tell it's all about the dollars and cents, and there's no passion in it anymore. I'm thinking like Pioneer and Onkyo, and and I'm not super fluent with what they're putting out today, so take that with a grain of salt. But I haven't seen anything from those, the older legacy brands that has been really innovative. Like they're trying to push the envelope like a younger company is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think Pioneer. I think they're kind of, at least with Pioneer, I think, and Onkyo, I think they're going kind of hard and heavy into the mass market as far as Bluetooth and, having a sound bar that has an Onkyo amplifier in it, which is cool. And you got to keep the lights on, right?
No, I get it, but it's boring.
Um, yeah,
It's
it's
boring.
boring for me. There's people out there that probably like
Well,
get
and
that.
that's what I mean, yeah, but, you know, as far as anything that wakes me up or, I wanna hear that or experience it, I just haven't seen anything from those brands, that does that. That's all.
Yeah. All right. I think JR says, I think Polk and Sound United is doing a good job. However, not making money. I don't know of any new things that they've come out with recently. Um, I think Sound United is a bit of a mess right now. Massimo, their parent company, can't get rid of them fast enough. I actually just did a really in-depth video talking about the history behind Sound United and how it cost Massimo's founder and CEO his job.
Mm.
Like he doesn't have that company anymore, and it's because of Sound United. So anyway, if you haven't checked out that video, check it out. It's called the I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
watched that one too. It was not that long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago or so.
Yeah. I think it's three or four videos back. Um, one of the coolest things about Cambridge though is I had a couple of takeaways. So the head engineer there has been there for like 25 years. And then there's another guy, like the chief technology officer. He's been there for 23 years. The software guy has been there for 13 years, almost 14 years. And that's kind of uncommon in this day and age with places. And you could really kind of just feel the vibe. And did you see the record wall in the back?
Yeah, where each
Yeah.
employee has a yeah.
So if you haven't watched that video, you should check it out. But in the back of Cambridge, as soon as you go in, you're like in a stage, almost like a music venue. And on the back of the wall, there's dozens upon dozens of records that are on the wall, album art and everything. And each one of those albums represent a song or a specific part of a song that meant something to one of the employees. So each employee has a record up on the wall, which I thought was really cool, because it is, about the music. And the first day that I got there, one of their new PR employees took me around London a little bit. And we sat down in a coffee shop getting ready to, the owner was going to come and talk to me for a little bit. And we just started talking about music. And we started talking about the Deftones. And she just started talking, and she's a young girl, right? And we just had this crazy like conversation about music. And I'm like, this is uncommon, number one, to sit down and just talk about music that much with somebody. But it was interesting because she hasn't been working there very long, but she said, yeah, my interview is, 5% talking about my experience and then 95% talking about music, which I thought was telling, which is pretty cool.
Well, you can tell a lot about somebody by their music choices. That's one thing about my business and, being a small brick and mortar, it that it's really not uncommon that a big conversation about music starts up daily, and everybody talks, to each other. They're sharing, songs and albums. It happens almost every day. That is one thing about the brick and mortar experience that is 100% different than the online experience. And that's why I do think, brick and mortars need to stick around because those conversations happen when you get two or three people in a room together and they're holding
Yeah.
records. And unfortunately online, it seems like, it just it gets a negative tone a lot of times.
Yeah, it's weird, man, because you can't see someone's facial
Well,
expressions. Like when I mentioned Deftones, like her face lit up, and I'm like, ooh.
yeah.
And then you like it's just it draws you in and stuff like that. I think there's nothing like being in person. Now, when we're talking here, and you guys probably don't know, but Kevin sent me a few records, one of which was Def Leppard's Pyromania. And like if he would have saw my face when I pulled that up, I mean, it was just like I cannot. And right before we got on here, I was setting up a turntable in my living room, and after we're done here, I'm going to go and put that record on, man. And I haven't listened to Pyromania for quite a while, but
Unter Lieben, Glauben, Globen.
I had that. I wouldn't say I wore it out, but I kind of wore that cassette out.
I still have my original jacket. The record is long gone, but I bought that brand new. I was playing hockey and we were in Omaha. That was the first record I bought with my actual money,
Mm-hmm.
and I destroyed it. I had no idea of, how to care for a record, but
Right.
I still have the jacket. It's roached, and, I'll probably frame it at, one point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was huge for me too, You couldn't watch MTV for an hour without seeing, Foolin' or
Yeah.
Photograph or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
Hysteria was like that big record, but Pyromania, man, was like
Yeah. It was big.
it
It was
was
still big.
it was tight. What about High and Dry? Listen to High and Dry very much?
No, no, I didn't go backwards with them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We got Matt, another YouTube creator, content creator, wonderful content creator, Matt Kuykendall. It's interesting being a small channel myself, how difficult it can be to reach some of the large establishments. In reality, a lot of these companies are the ones needing to reconnect in the space. Yeah, the one thing I would say is like do your thing and do it better than other people, and do it not necessarily better than other people, but do it the best of that you can. And like people will come to you. That's I hardly ever like solicit stuff from people. I did initially, and there's a couple of channels that helped me out. One of which was New Record Day. Ron, he made some introductions, which he just went over 100,000 subscribers, which is awesome. And
we need
then
to talk about a speaker too at some point.
say again,
We need to talk about a speaker too at some point.
Ron's.
Yeah, the GR Research and Ron collab. You haven't
Oh,
seen
I
them?
didn't see that.
No?
No. Well, I think whatever Ron puts out is going to be awesome. And then Sean at Zero Fidelity actually helped me out early on too. But the thing about it is like if you're doing your thing and you're doing it hard and as hard as you possibly can, like people I think will come to you, which is pretty cool. Or they won't. But
And
I've never been one to like send out like a media packet or whatever it is. Like you like send out a media packet. It's like I have so many subscribers and I have so many like Instagram followers and these are my rates. I don't have one. I didn't have a logo for a year, bro.
really?
Yep.
I love your logo. I think it's really cool. I
Thank
think
you.
you need to get it branded and get it on a bunch of items to sell to people.
I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be actually I'll put that on the to-do list today. I don't know. Would you anybody that's in here, would you buy some cheap Audio Man merch? T-shirts?
I
Put
think
it in the comments. Put it in the comments like what type of merch. I mean, obviously coffee mugs, T-shirts.
yeah, but do some
I don't know.
Sith stuff too, because
I
that
don't
logo
think
is
I
awesome.
can, bro. Like I want
Oh,
to stay as far away from
I
like any type of legal action,
Huh.
copyright stuff as I can.
Yeah, I'd check into it though because it's cool. But I get it. I do get it.
Yeah, Sith audio would be fun. Um, Scott Baylor says a polo. If there's one thing I will never put my brand on, it's a polo, because I had to wear so many stupid polos after I got out of the corporate workflow. That's one thing. I'm like, I'm not wearing a polo anymore, or like khakis,
What about
unless it's
golf balls?
say again.
golf balls.
Golf balls. I don't know.
You know,
I
that
don't.
probably I was kinda joking, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the demographic, honestly.
What? No polos. Listen, if there's a maybe I'll do like a hey, do you want to buy polos thing and see how much interest. Cables. Yeah, I did a run of cables and I'm thinking about doing some more cables, which would be cool. Ban the polo. What about you though? I mean, outside of Cambridge, who else do you like working with?
Um, I like all of our distributors, or I wouldn't be involved with them, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, we've dropped a couple products because of that, because of the relationship and kind of the way I felt they were treating us, and so, you know, any products we
Care
have
to care
now.
to share? You wanna
No, not really. I mean, you know, it's nothing juicy. It's not, you know, it's just, you can tell when somebody, you know, when a company wants to help you succeed and when they don't care. That's all it is, really, you know. But Audio Technica is great. Advanced Paris has been great.
Oh, I love advanced.
Grado, I I can't believe I didn't think of it. Grado is one of the best companies out there, period, hands down, when it comes to taking care of their dealers. They're awesome.
Yeah,
John is amazing. So,
I've talked to him a couple of times and he's been like so awesome.
yeah, just a super cool dude. And talk about a serious music nerd. That guy, he knows his stuff.
All right. This is a really good idea. Sith Audio snake oil t-shirts. Now, I'll probably drop the Sith Audio, but the snake oil, I like that. I think that
There
would
you
be
go.
fun. Snake oil.
That'd be a cool logo too.
Snake oil.
Snake Oil Audio.
All right. What else? Who do you think like is who is the corporate hi-fi? Like the people that jump off the page to me are Sound United, which is Polk, B&W, Marantz, Denon, Class A, among some others. And then the Vox Group, which is no longer around, but it is, Klipsch, Yamo. What do you have? Pioneer, Onkyo, which is kind of name only, but they're making stuff.
You almost gotta put Macintosh in there now.
Yeah.
You
Hopefully
know what
they
I mean?
leave Macintosh alone and
Well, I
just
heard they were getting rid of, um, you know, reps, local reps.
uh,
That was one thing that just came out last week, and, you know, don't quote me on that again. I kinda just skimmed it, but
this is a pure speculation, rumor and speculation.
yeah, there was an article on it,
Oh,
but
was there?
I didn't get into the weeds on it, but that's what it said, that reps were going away.
Somebody mentioned to me, again, rumor and speculation here. There's just two people talking. Somebody mentioned to me that since Bose has such a huge footprint in car audio, that they kind of wanted the Macintosh name for like the top tier of their car audio, which makes sense because there's so much more money and volume in car audio than there is in home audio.
Sure. Yeah, that Jeep was pretty cool.
Yeah. I heard that was made by Alpine and then it
Oh,
just licensed the Macintosh name basically. Now
yeah.
maybe it was like a collab and Macintosh like tuned it or whatever it was, but I heard that it was actually Alpine that was doing
Hmm,
that. It wasn't Macintosh making it. It was
right. Well, it
and
kinda
it,
makes sense, you know?
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure Alpine has all that, you know, the fabrication tools and stuff.
cheap audio man room treatments. Yeah, that would be just me putting a logo like on a blanket and it's sending two nails in a box with a blanket and say hang it up somewhere. Um, Who else though? Who else is like corporate hi-fi?
Well, I mean, pretty much everything at Best Buy or Magnolia, wouldn't you consider that kinda corporate hi-fi?
Yeah. Although ELAC, someone mentioned it earlier. I think ELAC is crushing it. I don't know if they're part of like some conglomerate though.
Ugh, yeah, I'm not sure.
IAG. I can't remember who is IAG, but there's like KEF is total corporate. They're part of like a private equity or something like that that has a few brands. I know Wharfdale's in there, but Wharfdale I think is doing a great job.
Wharfdale's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Wharfdale.
Yeah, the product line is that's what's impressive for me. I love all those brands that are doing throwback stuff, man. I mean, it makes it easy, at least for me to sell, you know. Customers that come in and they see a pair of old school, you know, three-way walnut with really nice stands. That's what they want. They're not looking for, you know, the tall, sleek home theater speakers. They just don't want it. I
No
don't want
Son
it
no Sony SSCS5s.
either.
Um, uh,
Thanks for doing that, man. That was
you're
so
welcome, bro.
that was
I
awesome.
know they're not for everybody.
Wow.
Kevin's talking about he did a video and he threw some shade at my my children, the Sony SSCS, which actually I'm getting ready to kick them out of the nest because their pricing has gone bananas. At
Yeah.
at $100, $120, that's a good speaker. But you start pushing $200,
Yeah.
there are some other options out there.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of competition in that space.
Um, yeah, I like ELAC. I think Kef, although I don't like the sound of their speakers, except for the Q150s, I think Kef does a great job too. And they're part of some holding group.
Well, they've been around a long time.
Langdorf Audio. I don't know them.
Yeah, I'm not familiar either.
Super Lintons are on my I like the Super Lintons a lot, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times a company will let me hold on to a pair of speakers for a while
Mhm.
and to do like comparisons. Super Linton was not one of them, and it kind of brought a tear to my eye. I'm like, I really want these.
The only bummer with those are right now you can't get them.
Yeah.
I can't get 85s and I can't get Super Lintons. I'm hoping to get some good news from them that they're gonna be back in stock because
Are
I
you a
don't.
dealer for
Yeah,
Wharfdale?
yeah,
Oh,
for
that's
Warped.
cool.
Yeah. I like the diamonds. I like the 12.0s and the 12.2s. Super Dentons are great. Um, but yeah, right now it's hard to get supply. And that's weird too. I didn't think that would be an issue, but it's not just Wharfdale. You know, Cambridge with the Evo 1, you know, I think it was more popular than they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, they told
That was
me that it's
that was a struggle
yeah.
to get product.
Sonus is actually Bicky, Bigfoot. Sonus is actually part of the Macintosh group, so that it got sold to Bose too. So Sonus is part of Bose now. Wharfdale Diamond 225, best diamond speaker. For a
Yeah.
while, those were like on super sale. And it's funny. The Diamond 11.2 was one of the speakers or one of the videos that kind of put me on the map. Um, at the time, I found them on Amazon at like a crazy clear out price. So I was buying everything at that time. So I'm like, I'm gonna buy these because it's like regular price was like, I don't know, $600 or $700, and you get them for $200 or something. And they were super, super warm, but they look great. And the sound kind of grew on you after a while. But I put that video out there and people watched it, and it actually got Wharfdale's attention because I put that video out there, and they're like, I don't know who's selling these this price. But anyway, that was kind of like the beginning of my relationship with Wharfdale. And we've gotten together on a bunch of like if they're having a clearance, they'll say, "Hey, will you do a video on this?" And I'm like, "Of course, man. I love like discontinued
Mhm.
um products. Love it. Love it, love it, love it." What do you think of SVS? You have any contact with SVS?
No, mm-mm. We don't do a lot with subwoofers.
Well, they have a whole line of speakers too,
Oh,
man.
yeah,
Yeah, I like them. I like them a lot. I like the owner, and I think they're independent. I'm pretty sure they're independent. So I like the owner, and then I love their PR guy, Nick.
yeah.
Um, and they give a crap about the music too. So I like SVS quite a bit. Not the biggest fan of aluminum dome tweeters, but their stuff is about as good. And this is just personal preference. Their stuff is about as good as I've heard when it comes to aluminum dome. How about pullovers, long sleeve quarter zippers? Yeah,
It's a Carnegie.
Carter, cheap audio man, cardigan. Um, like the old. Remember it was Nirvana Unplugged. I think he's wearing like a brown cardigan.
Oh, yeah. And they sold millions of them after that, I'm sure.
That's right. All right. Dudes at SVS thought I was Randy at a show. Funny. The president kept talking to me. Perks of being Randy's doppelganger. That's so funny. Yeah. Oh, I think Emotiva's crushing it too. I like and Schkit, Gishelli Labs. Gishelli's a little bit smaller, of course, but like Schkit has got a big operation, man.
Well, I think just I'm not really super familiar with the shit stuff. A couple of guys at work have they love them. I think they're a great price point. The Gashelli Lab stuff is what I think is really interesting, just because it does seem like it's so unique. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're customizing cases and all that kind of stuff. I'm not super into DAX, and I know for the people that are, I've seen the reviews on them, but it's cool that it does seem like it's a genuine small pop-up family run
Yeah.
audio company in 2020, 25 or whenever they came out. It's a really cool story.
Yeah. They're great. They're a great family. I was actually talking to Sherry last night over text message about some stuff, but they're the best, man. And they keep pushing the envelope. And that whole company was born out of Gino, who is one of the owners. Like he built hi-fi stuff because he was poor and like didn't have the money, and he was super smart and like understood electronics and stuff. He's done a bunch of stuff with USB and all sorts of things outside of Gishelli Labs. But yeah, it was a guy that wanted good audio, and when he was a kid couldn't afford it, and that's kind of the ethos of the company is like we're going to make really good audio at a fair price.
And that's how I got into the mess I'm in. I liked good audio, and I couldn't afford anything because I was either, spreading drywall or slinging hamburgers, but I was able to find really good vintage electronics for 20, $30, that just needed cleaned up, a little bit of love, and then that just snowballed.
Yeah.
So that's
Here's one.
usually, yeah.
Sorry. Here's one we forgot to talk about is JBL, Harman International. They kind of own everything.
Yeah.
I think though that they really like care, because if you look at their acquisitions, it's like they bought Rune, and they're owned by, isn't it Harman owned by Samsung?
That I don't.
Hold on. Let me find out.
Yeah,
Who owns Harman International? Samsung. Yep, that's what I thought.
I always give JBL an extra long leash because their 70s and 60s speakers are so good. And, they're still doing, throwbacks. I don't know. They can't do any wrong for me.
Yeah. Some of their, so there's a Stage A130, which was awesome because it would go on sale for like $200. Really good speaker. They've got a new generation though, and I haven't seen them go on sale. But another aluminum dome tweeter, but it was good for aluminum dome. And I'm kind of torn about Kef. I couldn't afford the L100s. That was like their big.
Yeah.
So those were too expensive when I was coming up, and they're too expensive now. But I never really that wasn't like something that I like loved. Or JBL doesn't have kind of the stroke it does with some people, especially at the low end. Although they just came out with the new Stage series, which are pretty good.
Well, for me, the first time my band recorded, this is old school. This is 2-inch tape, and we were in a place up in Iowa, and they had 4311 studio monitors. And I had never heard anything that, I was 17 years old, never heard anything that good in my life, as far as impact and just the ability to, recreate what we had just recorded. And So that was my first true JBL experience, and it just stuck with me.
Yeah.
Oh, one of
Yeah.
those.
I wouldn't mind getting some of their like their big three-ways in, but they're super expensive, man.
Oh, man, the new
Like I
ones.
think they're $5,000 a pair, or
Yeah,
$3,000 a pair, or something like that.
yeah,
So I have a hard time with that.
yeah.
Have I missed any super chats? Let me check.
I'll tell you, I just heard my first pair of new Kef speakers not too long ago. What's the real popular one with the, um, it's just a single speaker, coaxial speaker where it's got the
Oh, is it LS50? There's Q150. Well, there's newer ones now. There's the Q150, Q350, LS50, but
LS50 is what it was.
they've come out like, so they have the LS50 Meta, and then they have one called the Concerto. They have the R3. What'd you think of them?
And it's really cool because one of our good customers that bought a set of super lentils from us, um, we're talking, and I was like, "Hey, man, bring those in. Let me borrow them for just a week if you're going to set them off to the side for a bit." And he did. And we had everybody listen to them, and the imaging was unreal.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, that part I got. There wasn't much going on below, I don't know, 50 hertz.
Yeah,
You
if
know,
that, dude. I think
yeah,
like LS50s are probably
I
like
was trying to be nice.
80. Yeah.
Yeah, but, I always have subwoofers anyway, so
Yeah.
it I didn't hook a subwoofer up to it and try that. I kinda wanted to just see what they were all about, just nude, I guess, and the imaging was incredible. I liked them a lot. I would've really liked them with a subwoofer, but yeah.
I think the one of the reasons why I don't like them, and this is me, right? They obviously sell a lot of these, so a lot of people love them, and that's great, man. I'm not saying that anybody's wrong for liking what they like. They're dry to me. They're
Mm,
dry through the mid range. Um, they don't. I feel like it's almost sterile,
mm,
and
yeah,
then I don't feel like it's got a lot of air on top. I feel it's kind of like real mid rangey, super flat. I don't feel like it's got a lot of personality, and I feel like it's dry, and that's why I don't like them. There's been some amps that I've had on there, and people will say, "Well, you got to have the right amp on there," and that's true. You can get an amp that sounds, the continuity and like pairing of products is a real thing. But I just thought that they were too finicky. I thought they took too much power, and they weren't dynamic. For me, I didn't think they were musical either. I thought they were just dry, and it was like, I don't know. I felt like it was just a report. Like, here's
yeah,
a report of your music. Here you go.
yeah.
And
Most
that's
people
cool.
love that.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Well, that's why, I mean, that's the beauty of everything, I if we all like the same thing, there'd be one speaker,
Right. Yep.
and that would suck.
Yes. Absolutely. Be like one barbecue,
Right, yeah,
one chocolate cake.
totally.
Yeah.
One cheeseburger to rule them all.
One cheeseburger to rule them all. And it has been measured. They know exactly how much sodium's in it, exactly what type of beef's in it. Like, how
Yeah,
boring would that be?
yeah,
It's
boring.
making me hungry. Um, There we go. Got my R3 Metas connected to the AP A10.
Yummy.
Classic. It's a special comment. You got an A10 Classic in the shop?
Yeah, we have a 10, 12, My Connect 250, and a IX75.
The 12
12's
has,
that.
yeah, no, I get it, and I want one, but I'm not gonna get one. That has two toroidal transformers in it, right?
Mm,
One for each
yep,
side, so truly balanced, right?
yep, so does the My Connect 250. It's and that's really, well, there's quite a few upgrades from the A10, but, you get a moving coil, 2 phono preamps, so you got a moving magnet and a moving coil, and then, 2 headphone jacks with more switches than you could ever imagine, but for somebody that's really into headphones, that A12's pretty cool.
In and out. I like in and out.
Ah,
You
in
got
there.
In-N-Out in Iowa? You don't, do you?
No.
Yeah, they just came to Texas like 10 years ago, I think, and people lost their mind, and I
Yeah.
don't blame them because when I would go out to California for business, I would legit eat at In-N-Out multiple times a day, every meal. When I was in California, I would go to In-N-Out for every meal,
Yeah.
because I loved it so much. I haven't been for a while.
Hmm.
What else do you want to talk about?
Mm. Well, I was hoping that you, maybe had talked to Ron about those speakers. I think they're gonna be really cool. I didn't know if
I
you were
haven't talked to him.
position them or anything like that.
No, I haven't talked to him. I'll do that for Ron, if he wants me to. I'll totally do it. I'll totally do a video on him. Is it? I'm assuming it's DIY.
No, no, I think they've got 3 finishes that, they're gonna do. The video on it's great. I mean, I don't know, he did a good job of not overselling it, being practical and being real. It made me wanna hear a pair, so hopefully you get to do that.
I think GR. I mean, I really like the GR Research Encores, which were a kit. I think those are great, and I think Ron has got one of the best ears out there.
I
And so
want his
whatever. Say again.
I want his room.
Yeah, he built a little shed in the back, man.
Yeah, it looks like it's dialed.
Yeah, for sure.
You have plans for a room at some point?
God no,
No.
no, dude. I'm just like I was thinking about finishing out my like I've got a room above the garage that is got double doors and you walk into it. So there's no stairs into it. So you just walk into it, right? So it's unfinished above the garage. I was thinking about finishing that out and making it into like a home theater or something like that. Um I don't know, man. Like treating it and stuff, but that's not my thing, man. I just
No,
want like
yeah.
just regular like what regular people.
Well, and that's a good point because, if the majority of people don't have a perfectly tuned treated room, it kinda it's hard to make an opinion or at least tell them how that you think it's gonna sound in their normal living room. I
Yeah.
get
Yeah, for me, I just like to throw them up. Like my living room has got a bunch of reflections. Like you can hear, like you clap your hands, you can
out of
hear a
all the ceiling.
little echo and stuff like that. Um, and people will tell me, you got to treat your room. That'd be cool, but like I kind of want to put myself in the position that most people are in, and most people aren't into hi-fi, and then most people that are into hi-fi aren't going to treat their rooms. Um, they're lucky if they can get away with a pair of tower speakers in their living room because they
Yeah.
got families and stuff like that.
No, yeah, I get it. I get it. I want a treated room though. That'll be the first thing as soon as my wife and I move out of this house. I'm not going to the nines, but I want I want something decent.
Yeah. Tati, longtime patron. Ron speakers are small stand mounts and they are $3,500 a pair. There you go. Not cheap, but I almost would guarantee that whatever he comes up with is going to be spectacular.
My puppy's waking up.
People also like Coldplay. There's a couple of Coldplay songs I like. Have you guys seen the British Audiophile channel? Yeah, Taryn's the best. I actually had Taryn on one of these live streams years ago. Dude is super smart, super laid back, super awesome. Love Taryn, the British Audiophile. He's the greatest. Hey, look at that. First super chat. Brock, my man, longtime patron. $20. These collab videos are a lot of fun to watch. Thank you, Brock. You're the
It's a lot
best.
better than sitting here in front of a camera by yourself.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
The funny thing is, though, is I make a lot more money when I just do these single because people ask me questions and stuff like that. So,
Well,
if I
Randy's
can,
not giving me any of the money, so make sure
I'm
you
not.
stick up to pace.
But so Kevin, I've offered to pay Kevin, and he's
I
always
don't
says
want
no.
it.
And so we kind of switch back and forth. So the next time Kevin does a live stream. If he wants me on it, I'll be on his. So
Every time you're on, I get way more money than I would if I was by myself. So this is working out really good.
so I get less money by having you on. You get more money. Yeah, it is working out for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
$35 a pair, and then needing to pull them out into the room 3 feet plus, not for me. Yeah, I think you pull any speaker out into the room, I think it sounds better. Again, though, that doesn't that's not my thing, though. Like, I want to keep them where they look nice, and the kids aren't tripping over them. Which of the 7 DAC filters do you prefer? I'm struggling to hear major differences. Yes, Dave, you will, because there's not a huge amount of difference in the DAC filters. So I don't mess with those. On some products, they have sound color modes, and I can hear a bit of a difference with those. But DAC filters, I generally just kind of leave it where it's at.
Have you tried that DAC with the 2 chips?
Yeah, I got a big kick out of that.
What can you hear? I haven't heard it. Have you been? Could you on? Yeah, that's it. Could you hear the difference?
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons why you can hear a difference with them too is because one's an AKM chip and one's a Saber, and they have different outputs. So as soon as you switch over, you have different outputs, and you have different outputs. You're always going to hear a difference.
Sure.
Even if it sounds identical. But I think you will hear a difference because AKM and Saber will have different, so if you buy a DAC chip and then you look up the spec sheet, it'll give you kind of like, all right, here's the design layout that we think is acceptable. Now, if you're a smart person and you know what you're doing, you can design your own analog output section. But you have 2 chips, but you have two different designs. So by definition, those different designs are going to sound a little bit different, even if it's just a level discrepancy. But you might have different numbers of caps. You might have different numbers of resistors or whatever it is, right?
Sure.
So every time there's one little tiny little difference,
yeah,
there's going to be a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just curious. I thought it was an interesting idea, to put both of them in one box.
Yeah. I find the AKG to be a little bit more dynamic. And then the Saber to be a little bit more detail centric on the top end. But yeah, I thought it was a really fun product. I thought it was a gimmick at first.
Yeah.
But it lights up inside.
Tubes in it.
What's that?
You would have stuck tubes in it if it was a gimmick.
Yeah, for sure. It lights up inside, right? So it looks kind of cool, especially in a dark room. And then you can swap out the op amps. I thought it was going to be a gimmick, but it's kind of fun. I like that product.
Yeah.
I'm stuck on vinyl. If I was just listening if I had my druthers, I would only listen to vinyl. But
I am really circling back to vinyl. I got this big collection in that had some really amazing records in it, stuff I hadn't heard. And for some reason, I just grabbed a turntable. It had a Shure V15 Type 4 on it, which isn't the most popular one. Most people like 3s and 5s. And that cartridge just blew me away. I've been listening to more records for the last 3 weeks because of that cartridge.
Which one is it?
It's a Shure V15 Type 4. My favorite for the most part up until this point has been a Denon DL103 moving coil. And I actually went to the storage unit and grabbed my Denon DL103 off one of my tables that's there. And I didn't even put it on till a couple days ago because I still wanted to listen to that Type 4. And
is it a current? Can you buy that today?
No, that's the bummer. That's the weirdest thing. Shure quit making cartridges right when the vinyl revival happened. They were like one of the lone, the last ones left.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, vinyl gets a huge comeback and Shure's like, that's it, we're out. Weird.
Well,
but
we're both using Shure microphones, and there's probably a lot more money in microphones than there are in cartridges.
Well, you'd have to think, man. I mean, we sell a lot of cartridges. We sell a lot of stylus. I mean,
Yeah, but every idiot out there that wants to start a YouTube channel or a podcast buys one of these
well,
bags.
you're right. You're
Uh,
right.
yeah, but that's another great example of like I'm sure whoever's at shore is looking at, is there any money in this? And there probably isn't, so they're not going to do it. That's why I think like circling back to the independent people that are really passionate about home audio is the companies that are going to be around.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit. You're a
Yep.
bit of a conspiracy theorist, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right,
I
what, what's your what's your favorite conspiracy theory going
well,
on right now? Any good stuff that you've kind of gone down the rabbit hole?
well, I think the drones got
Oh, the New Jersey drones?
yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like that's been demystified or
Why didn't they say that from the beginning?
well,
Okay,
that's what I
so
don't understand.
all right, so if y'all don't know, so if you lived under a rock for a while, there was a bunch of drones happening around the East Coast, New Jersey especially. And somebody came out and said that it was like Iran or China had some type of
Yeah,
vessel off the East Coast. I'm like, generally speaking, we know if there's a ship off of our coast. Now, it could be a small ship. Anyway, and people were freaking out saying these drones were like the size of a SUV and stuff like that. So nobody would say what's going on. Nobody, and when I say nobody, I'm talking about like the government at the time. And even like local governments, like local congressmen were like, we need answers. What is this? And then it just came out that, oh, yeah, FAA um had okayed or given permission, but it was a little bit nebulous though. Even the explanation was a little bit nebulous. The FAA gave approval for this, and it was some local people and then some enthusiasts. It's
you
kind of a
know,
nebulous answer though.
yeah, I don't know. It's almost like they're trying to distract us. Why else would they not just say, these are our drones
Yeah.
and private
Oh,
use?
they said it was FAA was doing research on
Yeah.
what? Like, what is they doing research on?
Well, why not say that?
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
Yeah.
why not say that from the beginning?
That's what I mean. It's silly.
Still seems a little nebulous to me.
Do you
Um,
have one? What's your conspiracy theory?
oh, hmm. Peeling back this onion a little bit, someone says, yeah, they're looking for somebody. There was a theory that they were looking for radiation or
Mm,
like a lost piece of radiation. And I'm like, bro, like that's what I did in the Navy. Like
mm.
you have to get right up on something to like test radiation, like right up on it. Um, unless the radiation levels are just super, super, super high. But like if I was in the engine room and I would turn on like um you have different radiacs, devices for different types of radiation. So you have beta gamma, you have alpha radiation, you have a bunch of stuff, right? So depending upon what type of radiation, and they would be looking for beta gamma radiation. But unless like the background radiation levels are just off the charts, you got to get very close to even a nuclear reactor. You have to get close to really get some readings. So there's zero chance that they would be able to fly something, even if they were flying 10 feet off the ground. It still wouldn't pick anything up. So I got a
Well,
kick out of that one.
excuse my ignorance, but was the submarine?
Subwoofer. Yeah.
Yeah, there's my brain. Was it nuclear?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All the submarines in the U. Well, there's some like there's some different like test vessels, but all the ones that have like multiple people, like more than 10 people in them, are all nuclear powered.
oh,
Yeah.
so it's probably pretty important to be testing that quite
Oh,
often.
you have to, man. Like the regulatory stuff on it is just like next level. So you have to do specific radiation tests and like record them
Yeah,
every day.
sure.
Um, and
That'd be
then
something I'd want, you know?
yeah, and then so all the radioactive waste too, that all needs to be tested, and like packaged correctly and all that stuff. And then you have to so there's contamination tests and then there's radiation test. Radiation is just like what's going on in the background. Contamination is like if this pen dropped in a bunch of radioactive coolant, then I'd have to test it. And you get like centimeters away from something when you're testing to see if something's contaminated.
Mm.
Um, but
Very cool.
anyway, yeah. What is another one? Some of my favorite. I mean, I've looked into the moon landing thing a little bit.
Oh, man, with the flag not moving and all that stuff.
Or it was moving. That's why they say.
Okay,
Like,
okay,
yeah.
that's what it was.
And then there's like something about the Van Alstyne belt, or like there was another radiation belt, and they're talking about people couldn't live through that. And I'm like, really? I mean, ship's made out of metal, and it's not like. And then anyway, so I did it. I watched a Joe Rogan thing where the guy was going on and on about the Van Alstyne belt, and he's like, "Yeah, I contacted NASA, and they wouldn't tell me what the radiation levels were." I'm like, well, no kidding. I mean, like, how are you going to know what the radiation levels are? You got to send a radiac into space, and then like, it's not as easy as like people. What
Well,
is it? NASA's hiding this information. Well, it's pretty hard information to get.
yeah, I would imagine. I would hope so. Like,
Um,
it sounds like they're gonna, the JFK files, though. I talk about clearing out one of the biggest conspiracy theories of all time.
well, I
I know
believe it
it's
when I
gonna
see
be
it.
redacted to death. I do
Oh,
understand.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be 30 pages with 3 sentences on it by the time we get it, but it would be interesting to know a little bit more about what happened. I mean, that's a pretty one of the craziest things that's happened in this country, you know?
Yeah. Real quick, Tom Schiefer, comments on RSL. I like RSL. And I think if you're into that KEF kind of no nonsense, just the facts, man, sound, you can get that through RSL at like a fifth of the price. So if you're looking for that, get yourself some RSL. Have you ever been to Dallas and seen like the book depository and everything?
Wow.
It's kind of a trip. You used to be able to go up there and see the window that like he shot out of, but
Oh,
they shut it down, so they won't. I don't even know if you can go in the building anymore.
wow.
But at the time, my dad came to visit me, and we went over there and took the tour, and you could see where the you could see the window. You go up to the window,
It's a grassy knoll still
dude.
there.
It's right there, man. It's right there. They have an X on the street where he got hit the first time.
Wow.
It's kind of creepy, but yeah, it's all there, man. People
Yeah.
are always there milling around. There's conspiracy guys there that have a little cart that has all their like
Oh, yeah.
their flyers and everything, and they're rolling it around and trying to find. There's people that are like
Oh, man. It's
go
huge.
crazy about it.
Yeah.
The bad thing is like there is truth to all of this, but it kind of
Somewhat.
gets spoiled by the lunatics, right?
Yeah.
And so it's almost like a perfect storm for anybody that is trying to cover something up, because they're like, well, just make this a little bit crazy. And then we'll put out a little information, a little misinformation, people that pick up on that. And then everybody, normal people will think that, this is just lunacy.
Well, if you really wanna get, into the conspiracy, maybe the government is doing that, in order to make people not wanna say it because they don't wanna be lumped in with the loonies.
That's
I
right.
well, I've got a
Thomas.
tinfoil hat somewhere.
Yeah. I'm totally into it. I think it's a lot of fun. Thomas Dix, $10, another longtime patron. Enjoy the collaboration live streams. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great, Thomas. Thank you so much for the super chat. So there's this video. I'll have to send it to you. It's like how to recognize, or once you recognize a psyop, you'll see it everywhere. And so it basically talks about, like, not necessarily about like misinformation, but it talks about kind of like the slow manipulation of how people think and view things. And it's really interesting because, and I'm not trying to get political here because both sides do it, liberals and conservatives. But it talks about like creating the tribal mentality
Yeah.
and like straw man arguments,
Groupthink.
group think, emotional thinking, dismissive thinking. Um, oh, because they did X, then it means this. We see it all the time in comments. You
Yeah.
know, um, the straw man argument is alive and well in YouTube comments. I'll send it to you though. It's really interesting because if you kind of go back through and you look at especially news coverages, it's like it's so obvious. Like it's so obvious that there's a narrative. Um,
There always has been, there always will be,
yeah.
and I don't it's on yeah, I think every country's guilty of that, and if I don't know. I don't wanna say people are naive, but I think it
What's
happens.
Dude, it's easier not to think about it and just live your life. Because
Yeah.
once you start thinking about it, it drives you crazy. If you're familiar with MK Ultra?
Mm-mm,
You don't know MK Ultra?
mm-mm.
Dude, his CIA gave a whole bunch of people a bunch of acid and
Oh,
hallucinogenics and like destroyed people's brains. I think Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, was involved with MK Ultra
well,
somehow.
wasn't wasn't acid invented by the government? Or
I,
is that
I
just a
don't know.
conspiracy theory too?
No, it probably was.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. That's a rabbit hole you should go down. It's terrible what they did to people. It was going on, I think Harvard. I think Harvard was testing a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Tom Backus likes to be manipulated.
We should
What
be
up?
flat earthers.
What's that?
We should be flat earthers.
I think that goes a little bit too far.
Oh,
Um,
yeah,
um,
it maybe we could explain how sonics prove that it's a flat earth because you can hear a sound wave 4 miles away or something that if it was round, you wouldn't be able to hear it.
well, I mean, why do we have radio towers though? I
Uh,
mean,
we can't get into the details or we won't be
what it won't work.
it's going
Wha-
too
What's another one? You got any other conspiracies?
man, JFK, flat earth, the moon, and drones. I don't know.
There's a bunch of stuff around 9/11.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, I don't think that many people can keep a secret that big though.
Oh, geez, could you imagine?
No, there's no way that
Yeah.
no way that now it could have been so here's a conspiracy for you. Two conspiracies. One is that they one was that they knew it was happening and they let it happen. So they didn't like do it, but they let it happen. And then another one was that Pearl Harbor, like people knew that Pearl Harbor was going to happen and they let it happen. Um they let it happen.
Yeah, yeah, there you go, there's the
The
right
infamous
word.
the infamous
Yeah,
they.
it makes everything believable.
Here's a conspiracy theory. Speakers have changed a lot in the last 30 years.
I like it.
Yeah, probably not, but maybe a little bit. I mean, I know materials, they weren't making aluminum dome. Well, maybe they were making aluminum dome tweeters 30 years ago.
That and CAD programs, I mean, I am no speaker designer, but, they were going off gut a long time ago. Now you can put
Especially with transmission line stuff. Um, yeah, transmission line and like port length and all that stuff has gotten, I think,
well,
significantly better in the
that's what
last
I
30
mean.
years. Yeah, yeah.
You can put it in CAD program, tell it what woofer you're putting in, all the and they can say, "You're gonna have this when you get done." That's pretty big.
Yeah, CrossSim or XSim is a freeware program you can get. And then WinISD.
Yeah.
So WinISD is for like enclosure building, and then CrossSim is like you take the Thiel small parameters for two drivers and you put them in there, and you can kind of model out across. So now I mean, you're gonna have to figure it out at the end when you actually start listening to it what you want. But yeah, it's any idiot, I mean, could design a two-way speaker and get close with CrossSim and WinISD.
Yeah.
We got Aiden Tea Garden, $5. I'm gonna get some speakers from a local hi-fi shop today. Between the Super Denton and the Sonos Farmer Lumina 2 Amateur. Nice. Both of those are great. Small room, 3 meters by 4 meters. Thoughts? I kind of like the Sonos Faber. Super Denton is awesome too. If you can listen to them both, man. But both of them are great.
I
Oh,
am
wait a minute. Super Denton. I don't know if I've ever heard of the Super Denton. I don't think I have.
Oh, they're great. I was gonna say, they really remind me of an ADS. The
Oh,
mid-range those are awesome. Those Super Dentons are awesome. I haven't heard the Sonos Fabers, so I can't really.
they're super good.
Yeah.
What do you think about Bigfoot?
Oh, Bigfoot, definitely.
You
100%.
think Bigfoot's 100%?
I will say 100% I am a Bigfoot believer. I
Dude.
li it doesn't even matter where I lived. I think it's hard to I don't know. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts,
Yeah.
when I was driving doing jobs, and they got me convinced anyway.
So here's my one thing that about Bigfoot is the technology that we have available with like game cams.
Yeah.
Like to think that these big and they're not expensive. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not expensive, right? So people are finding the Bigfoot tracks, Bigfoot scat, whatever it is, right? Bro, put up some game cams and
Well,
like,
I think maybe and I think people underestimate how vast some of these forests, how dense,
yeah, that's
and
true.
I do get it because you got drones, you've got cams that you can put up everywhere, but from what I understand from a lot of the people that are really actively looking for proof, it's almost impossible to get as deep as they can get to where they could find one. I've heard all the knocks, they knock trees, and I don't know.
The
Maybe it's just one
screams,
thing
like,
from my childhood that I wanna hold on to, but
yeah,
yeah, all the screams, all that stuff,
yeah,
There's a lot of, uh, you know, eh, there's a lot of smart people that have had encounters, and not to say that smart people can't lie or make up a story,
yeah,
but people with their reputation on the line that you wouldn't think would share something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
It wasn't something so traumatic that it changed their life.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, a lot of these like pilots and stuff that have come out and said, "Hey, we saw something. We can't explain it." Like Navy pilots, guys that were still in, like, um, the UFO thing. Like, I'm kind of into that, and because I think, is it like extraterrestrial? I don't know, but I do know that there's a lot of stuff going on that people didn't know about for a long time. Um, and when you have people coming out that have a lot to lose, and anecdotally, I know a lot of pilots, and one of which, real good friend of mine, he retired from American, and he was a Navy pilot too. He was an A4 pilot. Um, I asked him, I'm like, "Did you ever see anything?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like one time we were, I can't remember what he said, but it was, he said that they were at, whatever, 35,000 feet or whatever it was. And he said there's some stuff up above them. He said he thought it was, I
Yeah.
can't remember what he said, but he said there's something there. And he asked the co-pilot, because he's captain too, right? And that's another thing, like nobody talks about it. Like people see stuff all the time, not all the time. People see stuff sometimes, not reported because they don't want to go on a limb, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. They don't wanna be lumped with the crackpots.
Anyway, his co-pilot said he thought it was not Skynet. What's
Mhm.
the Elon Musk thing? What's the internet that Skylink? Is that it? Starlink? Starlink.
Starlink, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds right.
So his co-pilot thought it was Starlink. I'm like, dude, isn't that like orbiting the Earth?
Like a
Um,
satellite?
like a satellite.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's stuff out there, people that I believe that I would trust with my kids when they say they saw something.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
saw something.
I mean, I don't believe all the stories I hear on everything, but every once in a while you get a story from somebody that, their opinion you're like, I got to put some stock in that just because of the source.
Yeah. Well, I would trust them if they told me anything really.
Sure.
Kevin P. Sullivan, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Thank you both for your content. It's been invaluable for my re-entry into 2-channel audio after a couple of decades. Still waiting for the new Sith audio speakers. Better be patient. I don't think they're ever coming, my friend.
Yeah, you should. It'd be cool.
My pilot friend also said something I can't remember.
Did you see the flashing pen right before that happened?
Eyes on Cinema is a YouTuber that has excellent record of confirmed documented UFO/ET events. There you go. Eyes on Cinema. Next time maybe we'll just talk about conspiracy theories and see how long people last. You want to try that next time?
It'll be a social experiment.
Yeah, we'll just see if if people last, then maybe we should start a conspiracy theory podcast.
Dun-dun-dun.
Dun-dun-dun. What do you think about haunting stuff?
Oh man, that stuff, it scares the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all. Paranormal stuff, I don't know. I believe in it.
Do you?
Yeah. We were pretty religious growing up, and I don't know, man. I feel like it's like a gut feeling sometimes, and I've just been around too many weird things, and I should preface that with I've taken a lot of substances, so everything I say with a grain of salt. I don't know what was,
What was real?
psycho-induced and what was real, but, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it scares the hell out of me, so,
Yeah, I've been spooked before. I've
yeah.
never seen anything. But you do get certain vibes, like feelings and stuff like that, like a heavy
Absolutely.
feeling or something.
Yeah.
Supposedly, that was a huge battle out in during the not the revolutionary, the Civil War. What was that? It's over in Pennsylvania or something like that. One of the biggest battles. Anyway, supposedly that's like one of the most haunted, crazy places out there. I think our brains, like, okay, so psychoacoustics, right?
Mhm.
So your brain kind of fills in stuff that's not necessarily there. I think our brains kind of do that when we see stuff too. Like we
Yeah.
see something and our brains just say, "Oh, that's the Mothman." That's the Jersey Devil. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's so much we as humans have we just can't comprehend. We're not meant to. There wouldn't be any point of this life if there wasn't a quest for knowledge. And I think
Yeah.
some things are just not in play.
Yeah.
Knowing if we're alone or knowing if there's a spiritual world outside of this one, I don't think we're going to find out until that time comes, honestly.
Yeah. We'll never know.
I don't think so. I'm not ruling it out though.
Yeah. I'm not either. I
Yeah.
think the important thing for me is like, I am not God. I do believe in God, 100%, in a certain form. Like, I'm not putting a label on it. But if I think I can understand whoever created quantum physics, I'm wrong, right? Like, as people, I'm a dude, right? And there's some really smart dudes out there
Yes, there
that
are.
still haven't figured out like physics and all this other stuff, right? We're theorizing it, but too many things have happened in my life. There's been too many
Yep.
um
Anomalies.
like things that, oh, what do you call it? It can't be happenstance.
Yeah.
Like, it's just certain. So I believe that there's something going on. Maybe
Yeah.
we're in a simulation. Somebody said it earlier. We're in a simulation. Could be.
Yep.
Could be we're in a simulation.
Yep. I could buy that.
Some people theorize, and then I'll let you go. I know we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. Some people theorize that human beings, we were seeded here by aliens, and our whole reason for existence is to create AI.
Hmm.
in that humans have this insatiable need to create and improve on things. And so the AI is the next evolution of whatever we're supposed to be.
Yeah, you'd almost think whoever created us, whether it was an alien or a god, that, they would just create AI, though.
It's a good point.
I don't
Oh,
know.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the resources.
Yeah.
Maybe it was easier. That's a really good point. Maybe it was easier to throw some chromosomes into an ocean somewhere than it was to actually create something. Maybe we're an experiment.
I definitely think we're an experiment. It doesn't, regardless of how we got here, it just doesn't seem like there's any other reason. But
Yeah.
what are those things called where, it's like you remember it a different way? I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Well, it's like, okay, Sex in the City. A lot of
Mhm.
people remember it as Sex and the City, but
Okay.
there's a specific term. Does anybody know what term that is, or am I really going deep into conspiracy theories?
So that's when we collectively people remember things that are false.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody
There's
know what that means?
Well, I think it's one of the ways that people push for a, alternative reality is because, um, some of our memories aren't really correct, and a lot of people have the same memory.
Oh, of it being false?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I do get deja vu though every once in a while. And I'm like, what is this?
Mm.
Like that to me is like weird when I get deja vu. I'm like, I have been here before.
I've got an interesting one for you. I had a flashback.
All right,
The
hold on. Is it the Mandela effect?
That's it right there.
All right.
Yeah, because well, and the reason it's called that is because it was something to do with his death and when it was, or maybe he's even still alive. I don't remember. But that's why they named it the Mandela effect. And maybe Jordan knows more on this. But I'm glad you said that. Um, the first time we did, it wasn't a live stream. We did a conversation and you recorded it. And I remember this was one of the craziest. It's not a flashback, but it was a borderline hallucination because I had watched your videos so many times before. The first time I talked to you, I'm looking at you through my computer,
Yeah.
and it had your Cheap Audio Man border just like it does right now.
Okay.
And there was a point where I got into my head, you were talking about something, and in my head, I'm going, it felt like I was talking to the TV and the
Okay.
TV was talking back to me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sitting here watching like a normal live stream of Randy, but I'm talking to you and you're talking back to me because that logo was in there just like it was a live stream. It kind of freaked me out for a second. It took me a few seconds to kind of get back into like I probably had a couple beads of sweat coming down my
Maybe Randy is a simulation.
right.
Remember Max Headroom?
Oh yeah, Mama Max.
Yeah, that was awesome. I wish so. I watched a movie on the flight from London or over from Ireland to anyway. Watched this movie and it was kind of a cheesy horror movie about AI. And it had the guy that was in it had the Asian guy that was in um God, what was it? It was early 2000s. It's when the dude did things with the pie. American Pie. That's
Hmm.
what it is. Okay, so it was the Asian dude that called Stifler's mom MILF.
Yeah.
Okay. He was the guy, and he's like my age now. Um, he was the guy that was in that movie. It was really good from a certain standpoint. And it was kind of about like AI not understanding what it is and where it lies. But it was also about like how convenient it would be. And like the kids and the family were talking to the AI. AI was reading the kids, bedtime stories and everything. And I'm like, dude, I want that. And like the AI kind of became like godlike. And I'm like, I think I'd be cool with that. As long as I get along with the AI, like, but it helps me like gets my prescriptions delivered or whatever it is, or like knows what's in the fridge and has something like delivered. And I'm like, I could live that life. I could
Well, it's
totally
like
be
the
in the
Matrix.
Matrix. I'd totally be
Yeah,
in the Matrix.
yeah, I would plug me in. You know, I'm serious. I don't wanna eat that oatmeal slop that tastes like nothing, you know?
Right. Yeah. Tell me I'm eating an In-N-Out burger.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. Plug me in.
Plug me in.
All right. Well, we gotta wrap this up, man. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. Next time we're just gonna talk about conspiracy stuff.
We'll see how long it takes until it's just us talking to nobody.
Yeah. Well, we still have 184 people. We've been talking about conspiracy stuff for like 30 minutes, probably.
Well, I appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're just I
We
don't
just like to have a good time.
yeah.
We like to party. Um, hey, if you guys aren't subscribed to United States of Analog, you guys subscribe to him too.
I
Bob's the
almost
man.
I almost wore his shirt today.
How crazy! What a simulation that would be.
Oh my god, I'm serious. I pulled it down and I was like, I'm just, weird. I've got one with his head. His head on the shirt is bigger than my head. I love it. I told him, I was like, dude, no, he didn't have it for sale, but he wore one once. And I was like, I want the one with your head on it. Okay. And he sent me one. So
I need an AI that like figures out what my t-shirt designs are and then sends them over because I, for whatever reason, cannot get off of center to get some t-shirts done.
you know what you should do is put a bunch of them, all your ideas into a video, and then let YouTube pick it out like it's a thumbnail.
And what I should do is do a live stream and actually crowdsource this and like whoever comes up with like the best art, because I don't want to listen. You people, you think I put out a lot of videos and I work hard. I don't. I'm extremely lazy. I don't. I just want someone to make me the art, and then I'll send it to somebody to have them make it.
Oh man, yeah, I bet you get some really good. You've got a great logo. I mean, you could do anything with that. So
Yeah, we'll just start
somebody's
out.
gonna come up with something cool.
All right, brother.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
you
Thanks everybody for putting up with us.
for
It was fun, man.
indulging us. So maybe next time we'll like come up with a few more ideas, and then we'll kind of peel the onion back on certain things.
Let's do it.
All right. All right. Thanks, man. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to Skylabs. Make sure to
Appreciate it.
check out Kevin's latest videos, my latest videos, Bob Fonseca's latest videos, British Audiophile latest videos, New Record Day. Everybody. I love you all. Thank you so much for making my dreams come true. Bye. 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 Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.